but I am back. Back to the conversation. Hello. So this is the Eve effect. In this conversation, hello. I kind of wanted to talk about a lot of the things that I have been noticing, conversations that I have had with different people and different sessions that I have had with different people, where there are just a lot of different things going on with women using their power in different ways, but some not even realizing how powerful they are. But let's backtrack. Hello. So, historically speaking, women have been pretty powerful, and we didn't even know it. We didn't know that we were the reason why men were getting married, because they knew that the only way that they could have babies, have a family, and all of those different things was if they married us. Let's think back, ladies. We're not talking about right here, right now. We're talking about historically speaking. We are multipliers. We are life givers. We do 100 million things without thinking about it. Biblically speaking, we are referred to in the Bible as wisdom. Wisdom is referred to as a woman. So we are pretty dope as women. However, we have been abusing our power in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to go back to Eve. Eve, y'all, she kind of jacked us up a little bit. I ain't going to lie to you. Like, when I looked at this, I was like, she jacked us all the way up. She is the reason that women have been using tools of manipulation. She is the reason why we have the pain that we have during childbirth. She is the reason why we have the periods we have. She is the reason for a lot of different things. But Eve didn't really recognize the power that she held in her position. And she didn't actually realize what she was doing when she did it. And this is one of the things that I want to touch upon even with us now, is that we don't understand our power and how we affect men, how we affect children, how we affect the world and generations to come. So, going back to Eve, we already know what she did. She talking, when she ain't supposed to be talking to the serpent in the garden. You already know the story. If you don't know, then go on back to Genesis in the Bible. But they were given specific instructions, right? Adam was given the instructions, and she knew the instructions that Adam was given. She was not oblivious to what was supposed to be going on. But she decided to talk him into doing what the serpent told her to do, right? So she used her power of persuasion to say, hey, we need to listen to him, because buddy got something good going on. Like, he talking good stuff over here. And didn't even follow the instructions that she was given by God, right? So fast forward, everything been jacked up ever since. Now, I know some of you all are going to say, well, Adam didn't listen. We are focusing solely on Eve. This is one of the problems. Adam was pointing a finger, Eve was pointing a finger. Tonight we talking about Eve and this finger pointing that she been doing, and she been doing it ever since. So here's the thing. We have to, hold ourselves accountable for the parts that we play in certain situations. We have a lot of power to persuade men to do a lot of things, but we have really been misusing our powers here and lately. I'm just gonna say that I know that we've been running amok, and we want respect. We're saying, hey, we didn't have any choice. We didn't, in the matter, we didn't have any say so. Yo, we got a lot of power because a lot of laws were created on the backs of the fact that we said something, the fact that we hollered about something, and they listened. Now, right now, I know people are like, well, the abortion laws, that's a whole nother touchy situation. But here's the thing. When we had the right to do that, how were we using that privilege, quote unquote? Were we making smarter decisions in people that we were picking? Did it make us make smarter decisions in anything that we were doing? I don't know that to be true. You all can comment, but I don't think that that's been true, because there are a lot of women who are saying, well, I didn't pick this person, he's this way, why are men, not being held accountable for this, that, and the other? Baby, you picked him. You knew that he was not a good man, but you convinced yourself in your mind that this was what it was. There are a lot of different things that are going on out here, and we really need to pay attention to how we're moving and holding ourselves accountable for the different things and different situations that we allow ourselves to be in. So when we talk about Eve, because I talked about Eve and I just touched on it, she used her powers of being a woman, being a persuader, to do something that she knew that she wasn't supposed to do. Example number 2, Jezebel. Jezebel did the same thing. She used her powers of persuasion to have King Ahab worship gods, something that he wasn't supposed to do. Delilah did the same thing with Samson. The point that I'm making is we are pretty powerful, but what are the decisions that we're making with our power? Have we been misusing and abusing our power? We really need to look at that. So I have had conversations with different women, and even some men who talk about different dating situations that they're in. But all in all, I'm looking at the fact that women are saying, okay, I'm having problems with this other woman because she is overstepping her boundaries. I'm having issues in this department because of whatever choices, but it's like women are battling women to be seen, to be heard. This is not even a male and a woman fight, I would say. It's really the woman fighting with herself, because we're not operating the way that we should be operating, realizing the type of power that we hold and using that power to actually be in unison with one another, and understanding the power that we have to also help men and help children, also to breathe life into those people that we come in contact with. We're not using that power for that. So I'm gonna double back to when I was talking about using the power of persuasion. I know that that's something that a lot of women don't even want to talk about, because they're like, oh, well, men manipulate all the time. Right now is an accountability for women. If you want something different, you definitely have to do something different. So this is actually an accountability check for us as women. We are only responsible for ourselves. We can't make somebody else do something. And that's been the problem. We're too busy focused on somebody else when we really need to be focused on us and what we're doing. So one thing is that the choices that we make as women, we pick different guys, or, you know, let's just say you pick this guy, you think he's, you know, the greatest thing, and then you find out like he's not, right? And because you're so in love with this man, you decide to push past go and you start dating him, knowing what you know, and then eventually, you know, you get knocked up by him and all this different stuff, right? So you already knew the facts going in. You already knew what you knew. Then on top of that, let's just say you all are in a relationship, you have a child, but he's not moving forward to make anything permanent. And this is one of the things that's really a big thing, is that men have been pumping their brakes on committing to marriage. And so a lot of women have been taking the initiative, quote unquote, to ask this man to marry her, but then get upset either when he says no, or when he says yes, but then it goes left. And then you run around saying men ain't shit. Or let's just talk about women who are dating, who have a type of man and repeating this type of man, and then running around saying men ain't shit. What is that? This is a part of the decision that you are making, because you are choosing these people. You are choosing to be in a relationship. And then let me just say this. A lot of the times men have given in to situations that they really didn't want to be in, because they were persuaded by women to be in it, not because they really wanted to. And a lot of the times it backfires, because we have persuaded, you know, a guy to do something that he really didn't want to do, and then wondering why it did not work out. And so when do we hold ourselves accountable for, one, using our power of persuasion to control, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're controlling, trying to control another human being by being a persuader. That's the same thing that all of these women that were in the Bible did. They used their powers of persuasion to get men to do what they wanted them to do in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So what am I saying? It goes, everything that we're experiencing as women goes back to Eve. It goes back to the beginning, to what she was not doing, which was using wisdom and actually listening to the instructions that was given her and not going rogue. Yes, we have a mind of our own. Yes, we have been given free choice to do certain things, but has those decisions been the best decisions? Have we made really great decisions? If that was the case, then we wouldn't be screaming that there are not enough men, that, you know, men ain't, that, you know, we wouldn't be having all of these different issues with relationships and all of these different things if we were operating and using the wisdom that we've been given. That is actually our ultimate power. Our ultimate power is wisdom, and yet we don't tap into it, and we're not using it. We're too busy using the other power that we possess of persuasion to do other things. Another example that I gave, even on the on my post, when I talked about how women dress in, be naked, twerking, all of this different stuff on social media, but then want a man to respect her. Well, you got his attention, which was what you were trying to do, but you knew what you were doing, which is very powerful. You used that power to get his attention, and then you don't want the results of what came from that attention, that part. So it's like, what are we really doing here? What is really the goal? If you are looking for a man, or you're looking for some different outcome, you got to do something different. And you can't keep pointing at men. We as women can't keep pointing at men as if they are the ones that got us this way. No, baby, Eve got us this way. You want to be all the way 100? Eve made us this way. It's all in the bloodline. That's the truth. But we have the ability to change that. We have the ability to set the tone for different things. Let me say this. Another example is, men spend a lot of money on going to the strip clubs, on OnlyFans, on all of these different things, dealing with porn and, all of that kind of stuff, right? So they spend millions of dollars every year on this. Why? Because that is the effect that women have on them. Women are not the ones spending all of this money on porn. Women are not spending millions of dollars on Pornhub, OnlyFans, and whatever else. Nor are women spending a lot of time looking sexually at men as a whole. It's the other way around. So we need to recognize who's really holding the cards here. But at the same time, how are we using the power that we have been given? If we have the wisdom and we have the power of persuasion, why are we using that to do something completely left? Like, why are we using it for attention? Because that's really what it is. When I look at a woman that is half naked and she's on the gram, twerking upside down and all of that kind of stuff, I'm just like, she don't have no self-esteem, because she thinks that her power is in her coochie. Like, she's not realizing that she as a whole being is powerful. She's not realizing that. She's thinking that with her private area, which is something that men usually do, not women. But if you understood what type of power you possess to multiply, to be the life giver, to give all of these wonderful things, which men historically, even wealthy men, talked about. There are wealthy men that talked about the effect of having a wife. And while the rest of these women are out here being okay with being a side chick, being a mistress, it's like, the reason why things are going left is because, one, we're thinking that if we do all of these different things, it's going to give us so many different results. No. So why are all these women with children on child support, single, and out here talking about ain't no men out here, ain't no good men out here, all of this extra stuff, if it was actually working? You have a lot of women who are okay with being a side chick, with being a mistress, and then saying, well, why won't this man marry me? Why won't he leave his wife? Because he ain't gonna. Use your wisdom. Use the wisdom, which is the power that you have been given, to understand that that's not gonna happen. And that's something that I'm not understanding, why we have been so removed from what is innate in us. We naturally have wisdom, we naturally have intuition, and we throw it all away because we think that we're going to change. And I feel like it's an ego-driven thing, honestly, where we think that we're going to change somebody's mind to do something that we want them to do how we want it to do. Is it really working? I would say no. I would say it's not working. Show me how it is. Because you have more women that's on the child support system than there are women that are married. So obviously it's not working. So why don't we go back to the basics? Understanding where our powers really lie. Using our wisdom, our intuition to make better choices. And I would say, yes, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to, everybody has made mistakes. But once you recognize, okay, well, this person has a lot of red flags. They got this going on, that going on. Then move along. Because there are like billions of people in the world. So that's not the only man that's out there. We will try to love the red flags out of somebody. If he didn't want to get married, ma'am, in the beginning, what make you think that you having his baby, doing all of this other stuff is gonna make him do it? It's not, because that's not what happens. Even women who are married that are unhappy, if they're being quite honest, a lot of them gave those men an ultimatum and then winded up in those situations. And it's like, okay, when you could have had a man who was head over heels in love with you, would do anything for you, sometimes we have to really pay attention to what it is that we're doing. Because we be wanting somebody so bad that we just want to love the freaking red flags out of them. And that's not even it. Like, you can't. No, it's a red flag is still a red flag. It will be the same red flag unless that person finds God and goes to some heavy therapy. It's still gonna be the same red flag. So it's like, if that man is not making any effort to really be with you, to really commit, to be there, to show you that, he is worthy of being a compatible partner, then what are you doing? And this is why we have some of the results we have. And so this conversation is really for us to hold us accountable. And there are some women on here and they're not really saying anything, but I would like for you all to comment, because this is something that we need to have a conversation about us. We need to have our own come to Jesus moment where we are really like, girl, what are we really doing? We're sitting up here pointing fingers, blaming men for their behaviors, when we not even looking at us. Hold the mirror up and look at your reflection. Like, look at what you're really doing. Look at the type of person you are. Look at your character. Look at how you're conducting yourself. In order to have the type of man that you want, you have to conduct yourself differently. And so even when I was having the conversation before, like, if you go to my YouTube channel, Crown Convos with Tiana and Michelle, you'll see previous relationship conversations where I have talked about the fact that if you want a good man, there are a lot of good men, but when you start looking at how tall he is, how much money he makes, then it starts to get, you know, that dating pool gets smaller and smaller. And so, but you do have a lot of men that are out here that are good men, but you're overlooking them for the ones that are your type. And so I think that even in that's not using wisdom. Because I even had a conversation, it's so funny, I had a conversation with one of my friends, and I was talking about how we we look at the wrong things. We look at this type, but this is the same type from when we were like kids, and we never moved past this type, and then we become grown women with the same type, not realizing that this is all fantasy. What is the real? When it gets down to the core of a man, that's what you want. What he look like. Even with men, I had that conversation too. If you look at some of my conversations, I talk to men about a lot of different stuff, but I talked about them actually dating and looking at a woman's character. But if he was dating and looking at a woman's character, will you fit the bill? That's the other part. Because you can go get your body in shape as much as you want to. You can go put on, you know, your lashes, your wigs, your whatever, and look good on the outside. But what's going on with your character? Are you using the power and the gifts that you've been given for good? To cultivate a healthy relationship? To, you know, help that man in whatever he needs? That is actually what you are here for. But something happened, and women, because if you go back to Eve was supposed to be a helpmate to Adam. Eve was not supposed to be Adam. Eve was supposed to be helping Adam, meaning his partner, his, you know, ace, his, however you want to put it. But somewhere down the line, during all of these different women's movements, women wanted the same rights as men, but did it make us progress? I don't think so. I don't think that we progressed no more. I actually think that we've been set back in a lot of ways, because now our bodies are solely looked at for sex. Most men nowadays are overly sexualized because we're too busy not operating in our power and too busy, you know, being persuasive and showing our butts off. That's all that a lot of men even want. If you get a man, and I was watching this live with Marcus Black. I don't know if you all are familiar with him, but he talks about relationship stuff too. And he was saying, if you get a man that has money, has all access to all types of resources, then that man no longer needs you to help him, because essentially that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be his helpmate. So then you're wanting a man that makes six figures, $1 million, but you can't add any value to him because he's already acquired everything. But if you as a woman use the power that you have to multiply, you have the wisdom to do things, to multitask. We are problem solvers by nature. If you use that into your $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 man, you could help him do so much and help yourself too. Because if you are married to that man, then whatever you are doing in his life, you're going to reap the benefit of that. But if you're so busy, you know, working against him, and that's the other part, a lot of couples, and I feel like it's a spiritual battle. I talk about marriage, and I've talked about marriage before, that I feel like right now is a spiritual battle that's happening, hello, with marriages, because partners are literally attacking one another as if they're on opposite teams. They're blaming each other for all types of stuff rather than figuring it out and them being against the world. Once you realize that you play for the same team, oh baby, y'all can accomplish anything. But when you all are on opposite ends and you're fighting and feuding, you don't even realize that your opponent is in your face. Your opponent done snuck up on you. And that's really essentially what happened to Eve. They weren't on the same page. They were supposed to be on the same page. And this is probably one of the issues with marriage now, is Adam and Eve weren't even on the same page. Adam got his instructions. Eve already heard the instructions. Eve over here like, she distracted because she listening to the opponent instead of being in partnership with her man, saying, okay, you know, what we supposed to be doing? Okay, this is what we supposed to be doing. All right, you know what, I see that this is not. She should have told the serpent, like, hey, my man said X, Y, and Z. This a no-go. He got his instructions from God. That's how we supposed to be moving out here. As a wife, that's how you supposed to be moving. As a woman, you have to use your wisdom. You have to use all the innate things that God gave you in order to have something different. You're out here bashing men, but here's the thing, some of you all have sons. Why you out here bashing men? Your sons are becoming men. So think about if somebody was bashing your sons, you're gonna be ready to fight. So you gotta watch what you're saying, and you gotta watch how you moving and what you choosing. Stop choosing these men based on the type. Stop looking at them and thinking that you can change them, because we have a habit of doing that. Oh, he, you know, I can fix him up. This ain't build a man. There are some things that you can work with and other things that you cannot. Like, if that man is showing you that he will never be faithful in a million years, he ain't gonna be faithful. You can't love the faithfulness into him. He has to make a choice. Nothing you can do. I don't care how much sex you give him. I don't care how many gifts you give. I don't care how many babies you give him. I don't care how much you make the house a home. He's still going to do the same thing, because that is what he wants to do. You can't make somebody do something. And that is one of the biggest things that women have. There's a whole ego trip that happens, and we need to stop it. We really need to stop it, because we're not progressing. We're only moving backwards. I just want us to do better. We have friends that need to be held accountable. We have sisters that need to be held accountable. You got aunties that done fed you the wrong information that needs to be held accountable. Some of this stuff was learned. Here's the other part. We're sitting here pointing the fingers to, you know, how men should be conducting themselves. Most of these men did not have fathers in the homes, just like you probably, you know, a lot of women didn't have a father in the home. I was fortunate to have my father for 15 years of my life until he passed. So I have the experience of having a father there and not having a father there. But we had mothers. We literally had mothers in the home to show us how to be women and how to conduct ourselves. So we had pure examples of what being a woman looks like. And I'm not saying that we had a whole bunch of healthy examples, because there were some others that had gone through a lot of different things. But we did have an example of how a woman is supposed to act. But my question is, what was our takeaway from those examples? We had grandma and them, we had auntie and them, we had mama and them play aunties and all of them different women that was in the household. As women, what did we learn? I don't know if we actually learned anything from the examples that were set before us, because if it was, we wouldn't think that showing our naked butts would help us get a husband. That is just not a thing, because I'm gonna just tell you, nobody's husband or a man that wants to be a husband or is looking to have a wife wants your butt to be on the internet. He don't want everybody seeing his wife. No. No. That thing is supposed to be just for him, and you slanging it on the internet. Like, stop. Stop. Ask yourself, and there's the other part, is it effective? Is it really effective? Us bending over, doing all of this extra stuff, is it really effective? Somewhere along the line, we lost our way as women. We thought that we had to do all of these tricky and manipulative things to get a man, when men naturally want to be with us. Like, back in the day, they naturally wanted to, because they knew we had a standard about ourselves. In order for us to give you sex on a regular, to have babies, you have to marry us. That was the standard. What the hell done happened? We so independent. We got all of these jobs where we can work 6 figures. We done independent our asses right up out of the very thing that we crying about that we can't get. Does that even, it don't even make sense. Make it make sense. Sis, we want something different. Gotta do something different. And I'm saying this because even I had some toxic things that I did in my relationships. Like, I had to go back, and this is the other part. Apologize for the crap that you do. You are not perfect. Apologize for the crap that you do. I double back and apologized. But let me tell you, honey, I was not a person who was easily, like, I had my ego and I felt entitled. I had, all of that going on. But here's the crazy part. I've been engaged multiple times. I've been proposed to a gang of times. But I didn't want marriage because I didn't think I had what it took. So, in all honesty, I would have been, but I decided not to. But I didn't even know the power that I possessed, because I had men that wanted to marry me, and I was just like, nah, that's okay. I've been, nah, that's okay for the last 20 years of my life, almost. So I'll be 38 this year. So, I've been, nah, that's okay. Because I always thought, and this is the other thing about mindset, when you look at other people and what they've been through and all of these different things, you develop a mindset where you feel like you can't do certain things because it didn't work out for them. And I even talk about this, that your mindset determines a lot of different things. And so I had the mindset of where I thought I wouldn't be a good mother, I wouldn't be a good wife, I wouldn't do. But the crazy part is I was doing those things for my own family, for, you know, I help raise siblings and all these different things. So I was doing it already. I just didn't think that I had the capacity to do it. Well, I know it now. Like, I knew it a couple years ago, but like, I didn't understand it when I was in those relationships. I didn't understand what type of power I actually held and my capabilities. And sometimes even life will have us to doubt ourselves. I will say that. So even though, you know, we have all of these powers and we're wonderful as a being because we do things that men can't even do, but because we're in a world that, you know, if we are operating in those things, sometimes we come across certain men who, you know, are not worthy of our love, our affection, and all of these different things. But it helps us to set up certain self-doubt. And even in the past, where I talk about my own dating situations years ago, like in my early 20s, and I had a relationship that just wasn't so good or whatever, and I go into it, I talk about it, I've talked about it. It's actually on the previous live that I did. But I've taken those lessons and I'm like, what can I do differently? So everybody that I dated has not been the same, you know, but all in all, there was a takeaway that I came out with, you know, and that's something that you should do. You should have some type of takeaway when you're dating, and not trying to transform somebody into something you want them to be, because it's not gonna work. When I was dealing with that person, I wasn't trying to transform him into anything. If anything, he was trying to transform me into whatever it was that he thought I should have been, which took a toll back then on my self-esteem. And I was a little like trying to figure out like what's going on kind of thing. But once I got myself together and I did the work on myself and all of these different things, I realized what I allowed, and I realized it was a him issue. It wasn't necessarily a me issue. It was whatever he was dealing with. But because I didn't realize and operate in the power that I had, I allowed him to do what he did. You know what I'm saying? So yes, sometimes life can make things more difficult and we become discouraged, so then we start settling for certain things. But I'm just going to say this to you. Number one, stop blaming men for the men that you decided to choose. Stop speaking out of your mouth, because the things that you speak out of your mouth is the issues that you have inside of you. And it also speaks against what it is that you really want. So you have to start speaking differently. You want something different, you got to start speaking differently. You can't say that you want a good man, but then the next minute men ain't shit. You got to decide what you want. So if you want a good man, you have to say, you know what, when you go out on a date and you see that man is not, you know, somebody that's for you, okay, this was good, but I don't think this is gonna work. Like, thank you, have a good one. Why can't, nothing is wrong with that. But when you push past go and try to make something work because you just want a man, that's when you have issues. The next thing is looking at a man's character and saying, can I deal with this long term? Is his character something that I can deal with long term? Not can I change him, but is what he's doing, how he's acting, how he's operating, the character or behavior that I can deal with long term. That is something that you need to see and pay attention to. Using your wisdom and your spirit of discernment to say, is this the right person for me? Number 4, being intentional about dating. I'm not saying go when you go on a date or before you go on a date, tell that man I'm ready to get married, have babies and all that. I'm not saying that. But being intentional, if dating is what you want and you don't want a husband, then by all means you can play the dating game. But if you're looking for a husband, you need to write down the qualities that you want in a man. Write down what a good husband looks like. And go from there. The other part is, and it should, even though this is number 5, it should be number 1. You got to heal yourself from all of the pain and the different situations that you've allowed yourself to go through. You have to heal yourself. If you don't heal yourself, you're going to take that into other situations. And I think that is the number 1 reason why we are where that we are. Yes, Eve jacked us up. She did all types of stuff that got us all jacked up. But also, the pain from childhood, from relationships, from our letdowns, or whatever the case may be, we take all of those things, and I've done it. That's why I'm saying we, because I've done it in the past. I've just done work on myself is the reason why, I have different results is because I've done work on myself. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because I've done work on myself, and I feel like this is something that women need to know so that you can have a different outcome, so you can be better and you can operate more efficiently in your gifts and your purpose, and you can have the love that you truly desire. It is very much so out there. So you really have to heal yourself, because if you want a healthy relationship, it really starts with you. Just like if a man wants a healthy relationship, it starts with him. If you're focused on fixing you, then you can't be busy pointing fingers at what somebody else does, because then you will hold yourself accountable. And that's the thing that I have learned to do. Okay, what did I do to get these results? Like, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had some come to Jesus meetings, in my relationships, where I'm like, and even I had a conversation with my ex, and I'm like, tell me about me. Everybody can't do that. Everybody's not ready for that. I don't know. That takes another level of maturity to do. But I was just like, tell me about me. Tell me from your perspective, how I acted, my attitude, how I treated you, what you think I could do better. Like, tell me about me. And when I tell you, he told me some things, I was just like, okay, I give you that. Because at that time, it was like over 10 years ago. So my attitude was trash. I'm gonna be honest. My attitude was trash. The way that I was acting, I was, was just like whatever. I ain't really care. I wasn't looking for no deep, like, long-term connection. It was just like, okay, whatever. So that's how I acted. But it was wrong. In the grand scheme of things, it was wrong. So once he said that, I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have acted like that. If I wasn't ready for a relationship, I shouldn't have been in one. let me apologize for my behavior, because you don't even know the damage that you do to somebody else when you're not healed. You can do a lot of damage, especially as a woman. A lot of these men are the way that they are, and I'm gonna be honest, these men have been hurt by girls, and I'm gonna say girls who was just like the whatevers, or I could have better, or whatever the case may be. And some of these men are butthurt, and they just like, well, as long as I sleep around, and that's really what it is. He thinks as long as he sleeps around, he will not get attached. So that's why he's bed hopping, FYI. So it's a lot of unhealed people doing a lot of unhealed stuff. That's really what's going on out here in these streets. But what I want us to do as women is to heal, to realize the power we possess, to use our power for good, to be in healthy relationships. And if it don't work, sis, don't love the red flags out of him, because you can't. Don't push past go and think that you can create babies with this man or nothing like that. Go on, move forward. There are many, many men. He is not the only one. And you will be okay. But you will also be able to find the man that is for you when you operate in your power. I'm going to do a part 2 to this, because I didn't want this video to go really long. I didn't want us to go, over an hour. It's been an hour. So I'm going to do a part 2 to this. And I will see you back here next week. Bye.